Hare Krishna, Prabhu Standard, Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, Haribol, now we start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Agnanatimirandasya, Gyananjana Salakaya, Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha, Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svaparantikam, Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वाकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृद्यन्दस्तो यभद्राणि विदुनुति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायस्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the person of Godhead who is praised with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaura Premanande, Hari Bol. So, today we continue chapter 314.5. Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening is the title. Yes, Prabhu, that's okay. Maitreya Uvacha Sadhu Vira Tvaya Prishtam Avatara Katham Hare Yatvam Prachasi Martyanam Mrityu Pasha Vishatanim. Maitreya Uvacha, Maitreya said, Sadhu devotee, Vira, O warrior, Tvaya by you, Prishtam inquired, Avatara Katham, topics on the incarnation of the Lord, Hare, on the person of Godhead, Yat, that which, Tvam, your good self, Pritchasi, asking me, Madhyanam, of those who are destined to death, Mrityu, Pasha, the chain of birth and death, Vishatanim, source of liberation. Translation. The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting a devotee because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. He is the source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die. Purport. The great sage Maitreya addressed Vidura as a warrior not only because Vidura belonged to the Kuru family, but because he was anxious to hear about the chivalrous activities of the Lord in his incarnation of Varaha and Nrsimha. Because the inquiries concerned the Lord, they were perfectly befitting a devotee. A devotee has no taste for hearing anything mundane. There are many topics of mundane warfare, but a devotee is not inclined to hear them. The topics of the warfare in which the Lord engages do not concern the war of death, but the war against the chain of Maya, which obliged one to accept repeated birth and death. In other words, one who takes delight in hearing the war topics of the Lord is relieved from the chains of birth and death. Foolish people are suspicious of Krishna's taking part in the battle of Kurukshetra, not knowing that he is taking part ensured liberation for all who were present on the battlefield. It is said by Bhishma Deva that all who were present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original spiritual existence after death. Therefore, hearing the war topics of the Lord is as good as any other devotional service. Text number 6. Yayottanapada putro munina gitayarbaka mridjo kritvaiva mridyun mujnagrim aruroha hare padam. Yaya, by which Uttanapada of King Uttanapada, Putra son, Munina by the sage, Kitaya being sung, Arbakaha a child, Prityo of death, Kritva placing, Eva certainly, Murtni on the head, Angrim feet, Aruroha ascended, Hare of the person of Godhead, Padam of to the abode. Translation. By hearing these topics from the sage Narada, the son of King Uttanapada, Dhruva was enlightened regarding the person of Godhead, and he ascended to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death. Purport. While greeting his body, Maharaj Dhruva, the son of King Uttanapada, was attended by personalities like Sunanda and others who received him in the kingdom of God. He left this world at an early age as a young boy, although he had attained the throne of his father and had several children of his own. Because he was due to quit this world, death was waiting for him. He did not care for death, however, and even with his present body he boarded a spiritual airplane and went directly to the planet of Vishnu because of his association with the great sage Narada, who spoke to him the narration of the pastimes of the Lord. Text number 7. अथात्रापितिहासोऽयं श्रुतो मे वर्णितः पुरा ब्रह्मणा देवेन देवानामनुपृच्छताम्. Atha, now, atra, in this matter, api, also, iti, asa, history, ayam, this, shruta, heard, me, by me, varnitaha, described, pura, years ago, brahmana, by Brahma, deva devena, this foremost of the demigods, devanam, by the demigods, anuprichatam, asking. Translation. This history of the fight between the Lord as a boar and the demon Hiranyaksha was heard by me in a year long ago, as it was described by the foremost of the demigods, Brahma, when he was questioned by the other demigods. Text number 8. दक्षायनीक्षत्तार्मारिचं कश्यपं पतिम् अपत्या कामचकमे सन्ध्यायां हृच्छयार्दिता दितिः तिति Dakshayani, the daughter of Daksha, Kshatta, O Vidura, Maricham, the son of Marichi, Kashyapam, Kashyapa, Patim, her husband, Apatyakama, desires of having child, Chakame, longed for, Sandhyayam in the evening. Pritchaya by sex desire. Ardita distress. Translation. Diti, daughter of Daksha, being afflicted with sex desire, begged her husband Kashyapa, the son of Marichi, to have intercourse with her in the evening in order to beget a child. Text number 9. Ishtvagni jihvam payasa purusham yajusham patim nimlochadyarkashinam agnagare samahitam. Istva, after worshipping Agni fire, jihvam tongue payasa, by oblation purusham, unto the Supreme Person, yajusham, a full sacrifices, patim master, nimlochati, while setting, arke the sun, Asinam, sitting, Agni agare, in the sacrificial hall, Samahitam, completely in trance. Translation. The sun was setting, and the sage was sitting in trance after offering oblations to the Supreme Person of Godhead Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire. Purport. Fire is considered to be the tongue of the person of Godhead Vishnu, and oblations of grains and clarified butter offered to the fire are thus accepted by him. That is the principle of all sacrifices, of which Lord Vishnu is the master. In other words, the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu includes the satisfaction of all demigods and other living beings. Text number 10. Ditiruvacha Esha mam tvaktre vidvan kama atta sharashana tunoti dinam vikramya rambam iva matangaja. Ditiuvacha, beautiful Diti said, Esha, all these mam unto me tvatkrite. For you, Vidvan, O learned one, Kamaha, Cupid, Atta Sharashana, taking his arrows, do not he distresses, Dinam, pour me, Vikramya, attacking, Rambam, banana tree, Iva like, Matangaja, mad elephant. Translation. In that place, the beautiful Diti expressed her desire. O learned one, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree. Purport. Beautiful Diti, seeing her husband absorbed in trance, began to speak loudly, not attempting to attract him by bodily expressions. She frankly said that her whole body was distressed by sex desire because of her husband's presence, just as a banana tree is troubled by a mad elephant. It was not natural for her to agitate her husband when he was in trance, but she could not control her strong sex appetite. Her sex desire was like a mad elephant, and therefore it was the prime duty of her husband to give her all protection by fulfilling her sex desire. Text number 11. Tadbhavan dahyamānāyām sapatnīnām samriddhibhi prajavatīnām padram te māyānuktam anugraham. Tat, therefore, Bhavan, your good self, Dahyamanayam, being distressed, Sapatinam, Sapatninam, of the co-wives, Samriddhibi, by the prosperity, Prajavatinam, of those who have children, Badram, all prosperity, Te unto you, Mai unto me, Ayunktam, do unto me, in all respects, Anugraham, favor, translation. Therefore you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy. In purport, in Bhagavad Gita, sexual intercourse for begetting children is accepted as righteous. A person sexually inclined for simple sense gratification, however, is unrighteous. In Niti's appeal to her husband for sex, it was not exactly that she was afflicted by sex desires, but she desired sons. Since she had no sons, she felt poorer than her co-wives. Therefore, Kashyapa was supposed to satisfy his bona fide wife. Haribol, okay, who wants to read next? Hare Krishna, Dheeraj Prabhu Tandar Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna's dear devotees, Dhruv Pram Jai Shri Prabhupada. Second read next. Uh, text 12. Is it chapter 14?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Canto 3, Chapter 14, Text 12. भरत भर्तर आप्तोरुमानानां लोकान् आविशते यशः पतिर्भवद्विधो यासां प्रजया ननु जायते. Synonyms: Bhartari, by the husband; Apta Urumananam, of those who are beloved; Lokan, in the world; Avishate, spreads; Yasha, fame; Pati, husband; Bhavat, Vidha, like your good self; Yasham, of those whose; Prajaya, by children; Nanu, certainly; Jayate, expands. Translation: A woman is honored in the world by the benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children because you are meant for the expansion of living entities. Purport: according to Rishabhdeva, one should not become a father or mother unless one is confident that he can beget children whom he. Yeah, the verse is Pitana sasyat, Jananina sasyat, Daivam na tasyat, Nagati sasyat, Namochayatya samupeta mrutyum. It's in fifth canto, fifth chapter. Very nice verse. It is there. Yeah, I will continue. Human life is the only opportunity to get out of the material scene, which is full of the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Every human being should be given the opportunity to take advantage of this human form of life, and a father like Kashyapa is supposed to beget good children for the purpose of liberation. Text 13. पुरा पिता नो भगवान् दक्षो दुहितृवत्सलः कं वृणीत वरं वत्सा इत अपृच्छत न पृथक्. Synonyms: Pura, in days long ago; Pita, father; Nah, Duhitra affectionate to his daughters; come unto whom; Vrinita, you want to accept; Varam, your husband; Vatsa, my children; Iti, thus; Apricchata, inquired; Na, us; Prathak, separately. Translation: In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, who of us separately, whom we would prefer to select as our husband. Yeah. So Diti was a daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Yeah, and Diti chose Kashyapa Muni as her husband. Okay. Purport: It appears from this verse that free selection of a husband was allowed by the father, but not by free association. The daughters were asked separately to submit their selection of a husband who was famous for his acts and personality. The ultimate selection depended on the choice of the father. Text 14. सविदित्वात्मजानाम्नो भावं सन्तानभावना त्रयोदशादथ तासां यास्ते शीलम् अनुव्रता. Synonyms: Sa, Daksha, Viditva, understanding; Atmajanam, of the daughters; Na, our; Bhavam, indicating; Bhavana, well-wisher; Trayo, Dasha, 13; Adadata, handed over; Tasham, of all of them; Ya, those; who are they, your Shilam, behavior; Anuvrata, all faithful. Here, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you, and since then we have all been faithful. Purport: Generally, the daughters were too shy to express their opinions before their father, but the father would accept the daughter's intentions through someone else, such as through a grandmother to whom the grandchildren. Can you go to the next slide? go down, Prabhu. Yeah. To whom the grandchildren had free access. King Daksha collected the opinions of his daughters and thus handed over 13 to Kashyapa. Every one of these sisters was a
Hare Krishna, Siddharth Prabhu.
yeah. I'm
Prabhu.
so sorry. I'm audible now.
Yes, Prabhu. Your internet did
I'm
something.
sorry. Yeah, I was
Hare Krishna,
having
dear
some
Prabhus,
network
Jai
issue.
Shri Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances.
We'll cut here, Prabhu. Who wants to continue reading?
Hare Krishna Prabhu ji, Dhanavad Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Shall I continue?
Yes, Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare
If you want.
Krishna
Force.
Prabhu. Jai
Hare
Shri
Krishna
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Praveen Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
Dinesh
Was a
Prabhu.
Can I read Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. अथ मे कुरु कल्याणम कामम कमल लोचन आर्ता पसर्पणम भूम च मोघम हि महीयसी. अथ therefore me unto me kuru kindly do kalyanam benediction kamam desire kamala lochana o lotus eye one are 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 one are artha of the distressed upasarpanam, the approaching woman, O great one, among them without failure. He sentently mahi 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 yasi to a great person. Translation is Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O lotus eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in this distress approaches a great person, his place should never go in vain. Per, 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 sorry, my voice problem, bro. Sorry.
What, Prabhu?
Prabhu, I have some problem in my voice. So, sorry.
It's okay, Prabhu. Did you read the... You can read this purport next.
This is knew well that her request might be rejected because of the untimely situation, but she pleaded that when there is an emergency or distressful condition, there is no consideration of a time of situation. Text 16. इति तां वीर मारीचः कृपणां 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 Kritanam Bahu Vasinim Pratyaha Nunayana Vacha Pravadhana Asamalam Iti Dhod come unto her Veera, O hero, Marichaha, the son of Marichi, Kasya, Karpana, and unto the good, Bahu Vasinim, to to Tolka Dev, Pratyaha, replied, Anu Neam, Anu Nayana, specifying, watcher, by words, Pravada, highly agitated, Ananga, lust, Kasmalam, Kantaminated, translation. O hero Vidura Diti being afflicted by the contamination of lust and therefore poor and talkative was pacified by the son of Marichi in a, in a suitable words purport. When a man or a woman is afflicted by the lust of sex desire, it is to be understood as a sinful contamination. Kasyapa was engaged in his spiritual activities, but he did not have sufficient strength to refuse his wife, who was thus afflicted. He could have refused her with strong words expressing impossibility, but he was not as spiritually strong as Vidura. Vidura is addressed here as a hero because no one is stronger in self-control than a devotee of the Lord. It appears that Kashyapa was already inclined to have sex and enjoyment with his wife, and because he was not a strong man, he tried to dissuade her only with specifying words. Text 17. ऐसा ते हम विदास्यामि परियम वीरु यद इच्छासि तस्याह आमामनातः पुर्यात् सिद्धिस त्रैवारजिति यतः एषः his te your request aham I vidas yami solve execute priyam very dear viru o afflicted one yat what ichhasi you are desiring tasyaha here kamam desire kamam desires na not kaha would kuryat would perform siddhi perfection of liberation traivar jiki triyatah from womb translation. O afflicted one, I solve for the forth with gratify what whatever desire is dear to you, or who else but you is the source of the three perfection of liberation. For purpose, the three perfections of liberation are religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification. For a conditioned soul, the wife is considered to be the source of liberation because she offers her service to the husband for his ultimate liberation. Conditional material existence is based on sense gratification, and if someone has the good fortune to get a good wife, he is helped by the wife in all respects. If one is disturbed in his conditional life, he becomes more and more entang- entangled in material contamination. A faithful wife is supposed to cooperate with her husband in fulfilling all material desires, so he can then become comfortable and execute spiritual activities for the perfection of life. If, however, the husband is progressive in a spiritual advancement, the wife undoubtedly shares in his activities, and those both the wife and the husband profit in spiritual perfection. It is essential, therefore, that girls as well as boys be trained to discharge spiritual duties, so that at the time of cooperation both will be benefited. The training of the boy is brahmacharya, and the training of the girl is chastity. A faithful wife and spiritually trained brahmachari is a good combination for advancement of the human mission. Text 18. Sravasara upadaya swasramena kalakraman vyasana navam atayeti jal yanay yathar navam sarva all asramana social orders upadaya completely completing upadaya completing swa own asra asramena by the social orders kalat 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 raman, a person living with a wife, vyasana aranavam, the dangerous ocean of material existence. Atayati, one can cross over. Jala, jala, jala yanai, jala yanai. She going vessel. Yatha, as ar 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 arnavam, the ocean. Translation: as one can cross over the ocean with sea-going vessels, similarly one can cross over the dangerous situation of the material ocean by living with a wife. Purport: there are four social orders for operation. in the endeavor for liberation from material existence. The orders of a brahmacharya or a pious student life, householder life with a wife, retired life, and renounce the life all depend for a successful advancement on the householder who lives with a wife. This cooperation is essential for the proper proper functioning of the institution of the four social orders and the four spiritual orders of life. This Vedic Varnashrama system is generally known as the caste system. Caste system. The man who lives with a wife has a great responsibility. Responsibility in maintaining the members of the other social orders. The brahmacharis, vanaprastha, brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasis, except for the grahasthas or the householders. Everyone is supposed to engage in the spiritual advancement of life, and therefore the brahmachari, the vanaprastha, and the sannyasi have very little time to earn and livelihood. They therefore collect alms from the grahasthas, and thus they secure their necessities of life and cultivate a spiritual understanding by helping the other three sections of a society cultivate spiritual values. The householder also makes advancement in a spiritual life. Ultimately, every member of a society automatically becomes spiritually advanced and easily crosses the ocean of ocean of ocean of ocean of
It's nescience, Prabhu. Nescience.
ocean of crosses the ocean of
It's fine, Prabhu. Thank you so much for reading. It's really nice that you try your best. So who wants to read
sorry,
next?
sorry, Prabhu, my speaking problem in English. Some words is
No
not
problem, Prabhu.
easily I speak.
It's just important that you try. So that's the important
Okay,
part.
okay, Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So who wants to continue? Hare Krishna,
I'll
Aditya
read.
Prabhu, Tandar Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Yes, Praveen Prabhu.
Yeah, text 19. यामाहुर आत्मनो हर्धम श्रेयस्कामस्य मानिनी यस्यां स्वधुरम अद्यस्या पुमां सरति विज्वरः synonyms. Yam, the wife who Ahu is said Atmanaha of the body, he thus Ardham half Shreya welfare, Kamasya of all desires, Manini, O respectful one, Yasyam, in whom Swadhuram, all responsibilities, Adyasya, entrusting, Puman, a man, Charati, moves, Vijvaraha, without anxiety. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: O respectful one, a wife is so helpful that she is called the better half of a man's body because of her sharing in all auspicious activities. A man can move without anxiety, entrusting all responsibility to his wife. Purport: by the Vedic injunction, the wife is accepted as the better half of a man's body because she is supposed to be responsible for discharging half of the duties of the husband. A family man has a responsibility to perform five kinds of sacrifices called panchajna in order to get relief from all kinds of unavoidable sinful reaction incurred in the course of his affairs. When the man becomes qualitatively like the cats and dogs, he forgets his duties in cultivating spiritual values, and thus he accepts his wife as a sense gratifactory agency. When the wife is accepted as a sense gratifactory agency, personal beauty is the main consideration, and as soon as there is a break in personal sense gratification, there is disruption or divorce. But when husband and wife aim at spiritual advancement by mutual cooperation, there is no consideration of personal beauty or the disruption of so called love. In the material world, there is no question of love. Marriage is actually a duty performed in mutual cooperation as directed in the authoritative scriptures for spiritual advancement. Therefore, marriage is essential in order to avoid the life of cats and dogs who are not meant for spiritual enlightenment. Next 20. Yeah. Yam आश्रयेतीन्द्रियारातीन् दुर्जयान् ita इतराश्रमैः वयं जयेम हेलाभिर्दस्युन् दुर्गपतिर्यथा synonyms yam whom ashritya taking shelter of indriya senses aratin enemies durjanyan difficulty to conquer itara other than the householders ashramaihi by orders of society vayam we jayema then conquer helabihi easily dasyun invading plunderers durgapatihi a fort commander yatha as. Translation: as a fort commander very easily conquers invading plunderers by taking shelter of a wife, one can conquer the senses which are unconquerable in the other social orders. Report: of the four orders of human society, the student or brahmachari order, the householder or grihastha order, the retired or vanaprastha order, and the renounced or sannyasi order, the householder is on the safe side. The bodily senses are considered plunderers of the fort of the body. The wife is supposed to be the commander of the fort, and therefore, whenever there is an attack on the body by the senses, it is the wife who protects the body from being smashed. The sex demand is inevitable for everyone, but one who has a fixed wife is saved from the onslaught of the sense enemies. A man who possesses a good wife does not create disturbance in society by cooperating virgin girls. Without a fixed wife, a man becomes a debauchee of the first order and is a nuisance in society unless he is trained brahmachari, vanaprastha or sannyasi. Unless there is a rigid and systematic training of the brahmachari by the expert spiritual master and unless the student is obedient, it is sure that the so-called brahmachari will fall prey to the attack of sex. There are so many instances of fall down even for great yogis like Viswamitra. A Grihastha is saved, however, because of his faithful wife. Sex life is the cause of material bondage, and therefore it is prohibited in three ashramas and is allowed only in the Grihastha ashrama. The Grihastha is responsible for producing first quality brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. Text 21. Navayam prabhavastam tvam anukartum griheshwari apyayusha va kartyasyena ye chanye guna gridhnavaha. Synonyms: na, never; vayam, we; prabhavaha, are able; tam, that; tvam, unto you; anukartum, do the same; griha ishwari, O queen of the house; api, in spite of; ayusha, by duration of life; va, or in the next life; katsyena, entire; ye, who; cha, also; anye, others; guna gridnavaha, those who are able to appreciate qualities. Translation: O queen of the home, we are not able to act like you, nor could we repay you for what you have done, even if we worked for our entire life or even after death. To repay you is not possible, even for those who are admirers of personal qualities. Purport: so much glorification of a woman by her husband indicates that he is henpecked or is talking lightly in joke. Kashyapa meant that householders living with wives enjoy the heavenly blessings of sense enjoyment and at the same time have no fear of going down to hell. The man in the renounced order of life has no wife and may be driven by sex desire to seek another woman or another's wife and thus go to hell. In other words, the so called man of the renounced order who has left his house and wife goes to hell if he again desires sexual pleasure, knowingly or unknowingly. In that way, the householders are on the side of safety. Therefore, husbands as a class cannot repay their debt to women either in this life or the next. Even if they engage themselves in repaying the women throughout their whole lives, it is still not possible. Not all husbands are as able to appreciate the good qualities of their women, but even qualities of their wives. But even though one is able to appreciate these qualities, it is still not possible to repay the debt of the wife. Such extraordinary praises by a husband for his wife are certainly in the mode of joking. Text 22. Atapi kamam etam te प्रजात्यै करवाण्यलं यथा मां नातिरोचन्ति मुहूर्तं प्रतिपालय. Synonyms: Athapi, even though it is not possible; Kamam, the sex desire; Etam, as it is; Te, your; Prajatyai, for the sake of children; Karavani, let me do; Alam, without delay; Yatha, as; Mam, unto me; Na, may not; Atirochanti, reproach; Muhurtam, a few seconds; Pratipalaya, wait for. Translation: even though it is not possible to repay you, I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately for the sake of begetting children. But you must wait for only a few seconds so that others may not reproach me. Purport: the henpecked husband may not be able to repay his wife for all the benefits that he derives from her, but as for begetting children by fulfilling sex desire, it is not at all difficult for any husband unless he is thoroughly impotent. This is a very easy task for a husband under normal conditions. In spite of Kashyapa's being very eager, he requested her to wait for a few seconds so that others might not reproach him. He explains his position as follows. Text 23. Esha Ghoratama Vela Ghoranam Ghora Darshana Charanti Yasyam Bhutani Bhuteshanucharat Charani Ha. Synonyms: Esha, this time; Ghora Tama, most horrible; Vela, period; Ghoranam, of horrible; Ghora Darshana, horrible looking, charanti, move, yasyam, in which bhutani, ghosts, bhutesha, the lord of the ghosts, anucharanti, anucharani, constant companions, ha, indeed. Translation. This particular time is most inauspicious because at this time the horrible looking ghosts and constant companions of the Lord of the ghosts are visible. Purport. Kashyapa has already informed his wife Diti to wait for a while, and now he warns her that failure to consider the particular time will result in punishment from the ghosts and evil spirits who move during this time, along with their master Lord Rudra. Text 24. एतस्यां साध्वी सन्ध्यायां भगवान् भूत भावनः परीतो भूत पर्षद्भिर्वृष्णेन तटि भूतराट् synonyms. Etasyam, in this period, sadhvi, O chaste one, sandhyayam, all the junction of day and night, evening, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Bhota Bhavanaha, the well-wisher of the ghostly characters, Paritaha, surrounded by Bhota Parshadbhi, by ghostly companions, Vrishnena, on the back of the bull carrier, Atati, travels Bhutarat, the king of the ghosts. Translation. Lord Shiva, the king of the ghosts, sitting on the back of his bull carrier, travels at this time, accompanied by ghosts who follow him for their welfare. Purport. Lord Shiva or Rudra is the king of the ghosts. Ghostly characters worship Lord Shiva to be gradually guided toward a path of self-realization. Mayavadi philosophers are mostly worshippers of Lord Shiva, and Sripada Shankaracharya is considered to be the incarnation of Lord Shiva for preaching godlessness to the Mayavadi philosophers. Ghosts are bereft of a physical body because of their grievously sinful acts such as suicide. The last resort of the ghostly characters in human society is to take shelter of suicide, either material or spiritual. Material suicide causes loss of the physical body, and spiritual suicide causes loss of the individual identity. Mayadi philosophers desire to lose their individuality and merge into the impersonal spiritual Brahmajyoti existence. Lord Shiva, being very kind to the ghosts, sees that although they are condemned, they get physical bodies. He places them into the wombs of women who indulge in sexual intercourse regardless of the restrictions on time and circumstance. Kashyapa wanted to impress this fact upon Diti so that she might wait for a while. X25. शमशान चक्रानिल धूलि धूम्र विकीर्ण विद्योत जटा कलापः भस्मावगुण गुण्ठामल रुक्म देहो देवस्त्रिभिः पश्यन्ति देवरस्ते. Synonyms. Smashana, burning crematorium. Chakra anila, whirlwind. Dhuli, rust. Dhumra, smoky. Vikirna, vidyota, thus smeared over beauty. Jata kalapaha, bunches of matted hair. Bhasma, ashes. Avaguntha, covered by. Amala, stainless. Rukma, reddish. Deha, body. Devaha, the demigod. Trivihi, with three eyes. Pashyati, sees. Devaraha, younger brother of the husband. Te, your. Translation. Lord Shiva's body is reddish and he is unstained, but he is covered with ashes. His hair is dusty from the whirlwind dust of the burning crematorium. He is the younger brother of your husband, and he sees with his three eyes. Purport: Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity, nor is he in the category of Vishnu or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is far more powerful than any living entity up to the standard of Brahma. Yet, he is not on an equal level with Vishnu. Since he is almost like Lord Vishnu, Shiva can see past, present, and future. One of his eyes is like the sun, another is like the moon, and his third eye, which is between his eyebrows, is like fire. He can generate fire from his middle eyes, and he is able to vanquish any powerful living entity, including Brahma. Yet he does not live pompously in a nice house, etc., nor does he possess any material properties, although he is master of the material world. He lives mostly in the crematorium where dead bodies are burnt, and the whirlwind dust of the crematorium is his bodily dress. He is unstained by material contamination. Kashyapa took him as his younger brother because the youngest sister of Diti, Kashyapa's wife, was married to Lord Shiva. The husband of one's sister is considered one's brother. By that social relation, Lord Shiva happened to be the younger brother of Kashyapa. Kashyapa warned his wife that because Lord Shiva would see their sex indulgence, the time was not appropriate. Diti might argue that they would enjoy sex life in a private place, but Kashyapa reminded her that Lord Shiva has three eyes called the sun, the moon, and the fire, and one cannot escape his vigilance any more than he can escape Vishnu. Although seen by the police, a criminal is sometimes not immediately punished. The police wait for the proper time to apprehend him. The forbidden time for sexual intercourse would be noted by Lord Shiva, and Diti would meet with proper punishment by giving birth to a child of ghostly character or godless impersonalist. Kashyapa foresaw this, and thus he warned his wife Diti. Text 26. न यस्य लोके स्वजहनः परो वा नात्र्यादृतो नोत कश्चिद् विगर्ह्यः वयं व्रतैर्यच्छरणापविद्धां आशां आशामहे अजाम बत भुक्त भोगाम synonyms na never yasya of whom loke in the world swajanah kinsman paraha unconnected va nor na neither ati greater adritah favorable na not uta or kaschit anyone vigraha vigarhyah criminal vayam we vrataihi by vows yet whose charana feet apavidham apavidham rejected ashamahe ashasmahe respectfully worship ajam maha prasadam bata certainly bhukta bhogam remnants of foodstuff. Translation: Lord Shiva regards no one as his relative, yet there is no one who is not connected with him. He does not regard anyone as very favorable or abominable. We respectfully worship the remnants of his foodstuff, and we vow to accept what is rejected by him. Purport: Kashyapa informed his wife that just because Lord Shiva happened to be his brother-in-law, that should not encourage her in her offense towards him. Kashyapa warned her that actually Lord Shiva is not connected with anyone, nor is anyone his enemy. Since he is one of the three controllers of the universal affairs, he is equal to everyone. His greatness is incomparable because he is a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said that among all the devotees of Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva is the greatest. Thus, the remnants of foodstuff left by him are accepted by other devotees as Mahaprasada or great spiritual foodstuffs. The remnants of foodstuff offered to Lord Krishna are called prasadam, but when the same prasadam is eaten by a great devotee like Lord Shiva, it is called Mahaprasadam. Lord Shiva is so great that he does not care for the material prosperity for which every one of us is so eager. Parvati, who is the powerful material nature personified, is under his full control as his wife, yet he does not use her even to build a residential house. He prefers to remain without shelter, and his great wife also agrees to live with him humbly. People in general worship goddess Durga, the wife of Lord Shiva, for material prosperity, but Lord Shiva engages her in his service without material desire. He simply advises his great wife that of all kinds of worship, the worship of Vishnu is the highest, and greater than that is the worship of a great devotee or anything in relation with Vishnu.
Go. Okay, one more.
Text 27. यस्यानवद्याचरितं मनीषिणो गृणान्त्य विद्य पटलं बिभित्स्व बिभित्स्वः निरस्तमान्यातिशयोऽपि यत् स्वयं पिशाचर्याम् अचरद् गतिः सतां synonyms यस्या whose अनवद्य unimpeachable charitam character manishinah great sages grinanti follow avidya nescience patalam mass vivitsavaha referring to dismantle niras nirasta nullified samsya samya equality atishayah greatness api in spite of yat as swayam personally pisacha devil charyam activities acharat performed gatihi destination satam of the devotees of the Lord. Translation. Although no one in the material world is equal to or greater than Lord Shiva, and although his unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of science, he nevertheless remains as if a devil in order to give salvation to all devotees of the Lord. Purport. Lord Shiva's uncivilized devilish characteristics are never abominable because he teaches the sincere devotees of the Lord how to practice detachment from material enjoyment. He is called Mahadeva or the greatest of all demigods, and no one is equal to or greater than him in the material world. He is almost equal with Lord Vishnu. Although he always associates with Maya Durga, he is above the reactionary stage of the three modes of material nature, and although he is in discharge of devilish characters in the mode of ignorance, he is not affected by such association. Hmm. Text 88. Text 28.
Harry Paul, one more.
Text 28. हसन्ति यस्या चरितं हि दुर्भगाः स्वात्मन् रतस्या विदुषः समीहितं यैर्वस्त्रमाल्याभरणानुलेपनैः स्वभोजनं स्वात् स्वात्मतयोपलालितं. Synonyms: hasanti, laugh at; yasya, whose; acharitam, activity; he, certainly; durbhagaha, the unfortunate; swatmanam, swatman, in the self; ratasya, of one; engaged; avidushaha, not knowing; samihitam, his purpose; yaihi, by whom; vastra, clothing; malya, garlands; abharana, ornaments; anu, such luxuries; lepanaihi, with ointments; swabhojanam, eatable by the dogs; Shvabhojanam, eatable by the dogs; Swa Atma Taya, as if the self; Upalalitam, fondled. Translation: unfortunate, foolish persons, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish persons engage in maintaining the body, which is eatable by dogs, with dresses, ornaments, garlands, and ointments. Purport: Lord Shiva never accepts any luxurious dress, garland, ornament, or ointment. But those who are addicted to the decoration of the body, which is finally eatable by dogs, very luxuriously maintain it as the self. Such persons do not understand Lord Shiva, but they approach him for luxurious material comforts. There are two kinds of devotees of Lord Shiva. One class is the gross materialist seeking only bodily comforts from Lord Shiva, and the other class desires to become one with him. They are mostly impersonalists and prefer to chant Shivoham, I am Shiva, or after liberation, I shall become one with Lord Shiva. In other words, the karmis and jnanis are generally devotees of Lord Shiva, but they do not properly understand his real purpose in life. Sometimes so-called devotees of Lord Shiva imitate him in using poisonous intoxicants. Lord Shiva once swallowed an ocean of poison, and thus his throat became blue. The imitation Shivas try to follow him by indulging in poisons, and thus they are ruined. The real purpose of Lord Shiva is to serve the soul of the soul, Lord Krishna. He desires that all luxurious articles, such as nice garments, garlands, ornaments, and cosmetics, be given to Lord Krishna only, because Krishna is the real enjoyer. He refuses to accept such luxurious items himself because they are only meant for Krishna. However, since they do not know this purpose of Lord Shiva, foolish persons either laugh at him or profitlessly try to imitate him.
Harry Paul. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Sixthashtakam. चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापणं श्रेयस्कैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुदिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्
नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पिता नियमिता स्मरणेन काला एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्ममापि दुर्दैवमिदृशमिह जानिनानुरागः
तृणादपि शुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीयः सरदा हरिः
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
ऐनन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतिता मां विषमे महाबुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजं स्थितधूलसदृश विचिन्तया
नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदहृदया गिरा पुलकैर्निचितं बभुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविशायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्व गोविन्दभिहरिणेन मे
आश्लिष्य वा पादरतां पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनं मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः
बोल श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय। Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O son of Maharadhananda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated, decorated, decorated with the tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on the end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Sri Krishna, Sri Sikshastam ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Hari Hari Bol.
Jai. Bahujanma Karayadi Shavana Kirtan Tabutana Paya Krishna Pada Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many birds, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. First offense, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third offense is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master and considering me as an ordinary person.
Fourth offense to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version.
Fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination.
Sixth offense to give some mundane interpretation of the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda.
Ninth offense is to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
Tenth offense to not have complete faith in chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our humble obeisances to the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpirubhischa kripasantabhevacha patana pavnebhyo Vaishnavabhyo namo namah.
Vaishnavabhyo,
Vaishnavabhyo
Vaishnavabhyo, Even their large relatives around their
And the Gaudiya Vaishnava ki jai, Shla Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your kind association. Kind association. Thank you so much, Arita Prabhu, for joining also after long.
Thank you for hosting the session, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hari Bo. See you again
Hare
tomorrow.
Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Dandal Pranam. Jai Srila
Tomorrow
Prabhupada.
we have Q&A, I think. Everyone try to join the Q&A with Sundar Gopal Prabhu. Hari Bo. Oh no, it's Tuesday. Yeah, I read Thursday. Sorry, Prabhu. I've completely forgot what day it is. Yeah, tomorrow is Wednesday. We have reading session. Hari Bol.